Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Let us see few questions to see how much we have understood this lesson. We need to write what is the measure of a right angle. So what is the measure of a right angle is? I hope you remember it is 90 degrees. And if I'm going to talk in revolutions, then it is it's a quarter of a revolution. It's 1/4 of a revolution, a right angle. Now talking about a straight angle, what is its measure? It measures 180 degrees. And if I'm talking in revolutions, it is half of a revolution. Okay, but here because the question was asking what is the measure, so we either can write it this way or in the revolution. Both the time your answer will be correct. Now the second question is to say true or false for the given statements. The first statement is the measure of an acute angle is less than 90. I hope you remember. This statement is absolutely true. Now the next one, the measure of the obtuse angle is less than 90. No, this is not true. Only acute angles are less than 90. So this statement is false. The next one says the measure of reflex angle is greater than 180. So is this right? Yes, this is absolutely right. The statement is true. The measure of one complete revolution is 360 degrees. So is that right? Yes, complete angle measures 360 degrees. Moving to the next one. If angle A, this small letter shows that we are talking about a minor angle. So every time you will see this M stands for measure. Here, this particular M stands for measure. So this measure of angle A is equal to 53 degrees and measure of angle B is equal to 35 degrees. Both are acute angles. Then measure of angle A is greater than measure of angle B. So what do you think? Angle 53 is bigger or angle 35 is bigger? Obviously angle 53 is bigger because 53 as a number is bigger than 35. So yes, this statement is absolutely true again. This angle A is bigger than angle B. So here in this question, we need to write down the measures of some acute angles. So we are going to write the measure of acute angles, the angles which are less than 90. So the answer may vary. You can write any answer that comes to your head, but make sure the angle that you are writing is less than 90. So for example, we can write here 75 degrees because it's less than 90, and every time make sure that you put this small little dot on the top of the measure of whatever angle you are writing. It's very important. Then 60 degrees, I can even write down 1 degree. This is also correct because it's less than 90. I can even write down 89 degrees. So all these answers are some examples of acute angles. Now some obtuse angles, so angles which are greater than 90 but needs to be less than 180. So 179 degrees, this is an obtuse angle. 91 degrees, this is an obtuse angle. Then I can write any measurement 120, 130, etc. So any answer is acceptable for such kind of questions. Now moving ahead. In this question, it says measure the angles using the protractor. So now I'm going to draw some angles and we are going to see what is the measure of that particular angle. So let us start with this one. So here, this is the line, this is the baseline. I have drawn it rough. Let me try again. So here, this is the baseline. Okay. And the angle that I'll just use a little sharper pencil. Okay. So here where it's meeting over here. This angle here. This particular line. So what do you think? What is the measure of this angle? Make sure that if I'm talking about angle A, B, C, the first thing is that we overlap these 2 points, that is the center point of the protractor and the vertex of the angle exactly should overlap each other. Then we have to make sure the straight line of the protractor where you see 0, 180, 0, 180, these all points, they need to be, this particular straight line needs to be exactly overlapping with the ray BC. Okay, and then wherever we see the ray AB that is on this protractor, that is our measure of the given angle. So here you can see that this particular point, it is where the ray is meeting the protractor. Now because we are reading the protractor from angle BC and we are moving to the left side, so we have to measure the inner side of this protractor, right? So what is the measure? We can see this angle is opening till 60 degrees. I hope this is clear. Now let's try again. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the other side of this protractor. Instead of starting from right to left, this time let's go from left to right. Okay, so here the base angle, my bad. Okay, so here say the base angle is, I'm just drawing with a rough hand. Make sure that you use this sharp pencil and ruler to do the same. And now say it's somewhere here. Okay, so here the angle, let me name it as A, this is B, and this is C. So first of all, look at this angle ABC. What do you think is the measure of this angle without even measuring using protractor? Is this acute angle? Is this right angle? Is this obtuse angle? Is this reflex angle? What kind of angle is this? This is an obtuse angle. So make this clear in your head that your answer should be something between 90 and 180. Okay, first thing to check your answer yourself. Now let us see how we can do this. I have made sure that this point B is meeting, overlapping exactly with the center of protractor. This particular ray AB is overlapping the straight line of the protractor, and where I see my ray BC meeting the protractor at the edge, it is particular measurement that I'm going to take. So now because we are reading from left to right, make sure that you read the protractor from the outer edge. That is, this particular reading is what we are going to make. This particular that I have marked in yellow. So what do you see? Starting from here 0, 10, 20 till we are reaching 120, but the ray has stopped just before reaching 130. So till 120 we are good. After that we have to measure these small divisions. So here this is 125, 126. The measure is 127 degrees. I hope this is clear. You can draw as many angles as you want, and make sure that you practice yourself on the paper using the protractor, because these kind of questions are simple to answer, very much scoring, and they are easy, right? So you can make sure that you do practice, and make sure when you are using you're drawing the angles, the pencil needs to be very sharp so that the ray that you are drawing, they are very thin. Okay, now let's move to the next question. Here it's fill in the blanks. We have to fill these blanks using the words acute, obtuse, right, and straight. So the first one says an angle whose measure is less than that of a right angle is, an angle whose measure is less than right angle is an acute angle. So this is the answer. Now every time make sure that you write the complete word, that is acute angle. Now the second one, an angle whose measure is greater than right angle, which is greater than 90, is obtuse angle. Now the last one says that an angle whose measure is the sum of the measures of two right angles. Angle whose measure is sum of how many right angles? Two right angles. So one right angle equals 90 degrees. So what is the measure of two right angles is 90 plus 90, that is 180. And what is the measure of one? What name do we give to the angle that measures 180 is? I hope you know, it is straight angle. Now moving to the next question. When the sum of the measures of two angles is that of a right angle, then each of them is, when the sum of the measures of two angles is that of a right angle, then each one of them is, I hope you have understood the question. It is saying that when the sum of two angles, here we have two angles and their sum is equal to right angle. So let's say you have two angles, each of them is measuring A degrees. So A degrees plus A degrees is equal to 90 degrees. Is that right? So A plus A can be written as 2A equals 90 degrees. So this gives the value of A equals 90 divided by 2 is 45 degrees. So what is 45 degrees? It is less than 90. So then each of them is acute angle, right? Also, here what I have done, I have assumed that the two angles are equal. Other way you can think about this is as if the two angles together are making 90 degrees. Is that right? Two angles together are making 90 degrees. So obviously the two angles, no matter where the ray is, that the one ray which is in between, every time the measure of both these angles needs to be acute. So each of them is acute angle. I hope this is clear. The last one says, when the sum of the measures of two angles is that of a straight angle, and if one of them is acute, then the other one should be. Let's do this one by drawing. We have a straight angle and they are saying that the measure of the sum of two angles where forms a straight angle, if one of them is acute, so say this one, this is the acute angle, right? So what is the measure of the other angle? What is this angle? This particular angle is obtuse angle. Is this right? I hope this is clear. You can try again. This is a straight angle divided into two angles. One is acute, so this is acute angle. So what type of angle do we see the other side? It is an obtuse angle. So this is a property also what you can remember, that a straight angle is always formed when we are adding either two right angles together or we are adding obtuse and acute angle. Okay, no two acute angles can ever give you the answer as a straight angle. Similarly, no two obtuse angles when added together can give you an answer as straight angle. Okay, now moving to the next slide. Here, this is the last question of this lesson. So let's do this quickly. It says find the angle measure between the hands of the clock in each of the figures. So we are going to tell them what is the measure of the angles. Okay. Now, the first thing we can discuss here is that the first particular angle, we are just going to see the angle that is made by the hour hand and the smaller one and the minute hand, that is the longer one. Please ignore the one that is the second hand. We are not going to consider that one. So in the first figure where we see 9 a.m. So what angle is it? It is right angle. And what is the measure of a right angle? Let's write it down here. It is right angle. And what is its measure? Its measure is 90 degrees, right? Now the next one. Here it says it is 1 p.m., right? So what type of angle do you see in between the hour hand and the minute hand? It is an acute angle. This is an acute angle. Okay, we are good with this answer. Now, can you tell me what is the measure of this acute angle? Can we measure it without even using a protractor? The answer is yes, we can. How? See, when it was from 9 to 12, we are looking at this as right angle. It is 90 degrees. So here, how many divisions do you see? 1, 2, so total 1, 2 and 3 jumps. Okay, from 9 to 12, this particular minute hand was taking, this particular hands, they were taking 3 such jumps to make 90-degree angles. So if we divide 90 by 3, so each of these jumps will measure 30 degrees each. Okay. So in a clock face, when you see the angle that is formed between every adjacent numbers, that is from 12 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, etc. Every measure that you see in between them, it measures 30 degrees. Okay. So here, if it's 1 o'clock, If it's 1 p.m., so the particular angle that is formed is 30 degrees. Now the next one is 6 p.m. Clearly it is a straight line, so it is a straight angle. And what is the measure of a straight angle? It is 180 degrees. You can also check your answer. Look how many jumps are there from 12 to 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jumps. Each jump is for 30 degrees. And we have made 6 such jumps. So what is 3 times 6? It is 18. So the total is 180 degrees. I hope this is clear, and with this we have understood our lesson of reflex, acute and obtuse angles really well.